Hi, Houtan, how are you?
Hello, how's it going?
Oh, it's going really well. Great to have you with us. We are being joined by Houtan Fanisalek, CTO of Felix Gray, and also a great friend of Spree for a long time. So without further ado, maybe I will just hand it over to you. Take it away.
Thank you for the intro. Let me just. Okay. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the SpreeConf. I'm really excited to be here. My name is Houtan, and I am the Chief Technology Officer at Felix Gray. And I'm here today to discuss all the goals and discuss everything that goes into building an eyewear e-com store online. So a little bit about me. I fell in love with technology when I got my first computer in the fourth grade, and I've been creating applications ever since then. In 2013, during the twerking craze, my iOS app Twerk Meter had over 1 million downloads, and it was one of the most popular music apps in the world. I love doing outreach programs, helping other founders or developers whenever I can. I am the CTO in residence at the Columbia University Startup Lab. I also did some acting when I was a kid, when I was a little less bald and furry. But in summary, I am a very big nerd. So, what is Felix Gray? At Felix Gray, we sell eyeglasses that mitigate the negative effects like dry eye and fatigue of staring at your screens all day. When we started Felix Gray, when typical blue light glasses were very yellow and the frames looked like that dude from Star Trek. The difference with our brand was in our technology. And our blue light filter is different because it's baked into the lens, giving you a clear and undistorted view or your money back. It's why over the last 5 years, we've had more happy customers than any other eyewear blue light brand on the market. So some of you may have online stores already, but there are a bunch of people just starting out that don't realize what it takes to sell online. So really, what's difficult about selling online? Putting together an online store is easy, but building a brand that people love and trust is hard. And what do I mean by that? Well, using any e-com platform, you can set up a store and start selling online within a few hours, but that doesn't mean people will come to buy. You need to have the right product and message, and that message needs to be marketed correctly across many different channels. This requires a lot of time and money. The average e-com conversion rate, and this is for the US, is about 3%. That means that if 100 people visit your site, only 3 people will purchase. You need to have hundreds of thousands, even millions of people visiting your site if you want to make any money. In the United States, e-com only accounts for 14% of all the sales, which includes retail. So although since the pandemic, the space has been growing, most of this already has been taken up by big names like Amazon, Best Buy, Target, and you name it. So there's a lot of competition. Selling online means getting the product to your customer. And ever since Amazon rolled out that Prime shipping, customers all over the world expect a quick turnaround and delivery. And that doesn't matter if you're not Amazon. They want that package as soon as possible. Otherwise, they'll end up purchasing on Amazon instead, or they'll reach out to customer service and ask you like, where's their package? Now, if we take that a step further and talk about eyewear, it's not the same as selling shoes and t-shirts. Those don't require checkout customizations and complex operational software. Likewise, 5 years ago, it was impossible to find an e-com platform that would support any of these features that we needed. Whether it was Shopify, Magento, Commerce Cloud, all the big players, there was nothing built for the eyewear business. Now let's see why. Just like a physical store, the customer experience is very important. Changing colors, button sizes, anything you do on that website could dramatically affect conversion. It's the same thing with retail. If your store doesn't look good, people are not going to come in. When it comes to eyewear, the biggest customization is lens type. Some people want prescription, others need reading glasses, and some people just want just plain glasses. And on top of that, there are other variants like lens power, the color of the lens. Sunglasses are black. So, and coatings. Using Spree, we were able to build an additional step before the cart, before adding to cart to guide the user in selecting the correct lens for their glasses. Now, this reduced the friction and the confusion of figuring out what you need. So moving from cart to checkout, when a customer is placing a prescription order, we need to know that information before we can make those glasses. And the best way to do this is to provide multiple options during checkout. Some of these options we have displayed here. You can either upload your prescription, which loads it up to our backend directly, provide your doctor contact information, which we will then contact the doctor for you and get that prescription information. You can also check out without your prescription, and we will send you an automated email to respond to. And also not shown here, if you've ordered with us before, we can show your previous prescription information and how you could select one of those as well. So most of you know that you need a facility to ship out product quickly. These are known as 3PLs or third-party logistics providers. When it comes to eyewear, however, glasses need to be made to order. And this is why you need to work with an optical lab and build custom integrations to get that order and prescription and information that you need. You also need to worry about compliance. Since you're handling prescription information in the United States, for example, this is known as HIPAA. There are guidelines on what you need to do. For example, prescription data needs to be encrypted in transit and rest. So what that means is you need to worry about end-to-end encryption and security. Now, inventory management, it's one of the most challenging parts of running an eyewear business. Think about the different combinations of lenses you can have. Also, think about there's multiple ways to stock eyeglasses. They can be pre-assembled, which includes the lens and frame together, like sunglasses. They can be unassembled, like prescription eyeglasses that are made to order, or a combination of both. How do you know which inventory to select? How do you know to handle out-of-stock solutions? For example, what happens if you have only one lens and not the other lens in stock? What happens if multiple assembled frame SKUs share the same lens and there's only two lenses in stock? Now, you can get into a lot of complex situations, and that's why we built our own inventory management on top of Spree, and that's what Spree allowed us to do. So why would you choose Spree over other e-com platforms? The answer is, well, it depends. There are many great brands that started out on Spree that have become super successful. All the folks here today speaking, and even some others like Honest Company, which is worth over $1 billion, and Goop, which is run by Gwyneth Paltrow, which is a huge company as well. The biggest strength is the ability to modify the software however you want. If you want to add a button to checkout or another step, go for it. If you want to change the card to only allow for an item, then do it. Spree makes it easy for you to do whatever you want to do, but just be careful on how it affects conversion. Spree is free to use. There's no support fees or monthly fees for the platform itself, and that's pretty great. Spree is built on Ruby on Rails, which for me is one of my favorite open source frameworks. It makes database queries easy, updates really easy to use. In a few lines of code, you can make magic happen. Likewise, there's plenty of free open source libraries that can help you build quicker. This includes packages like Easy Post and Amazon Pay V2. Sorry, I made those, so I had to talk about them. In addition to Ruby packages that can help you build your own solution. And if you can't figure it out, there's a growing community of people, including the Spark Solutions team, which hosted this event, and they maintain the Spree repos for you. So there's a few things to consider before you choose Spree. Do I have the technical experience, or can I hire someone? No matter what platform you go to, even if you select Shopify, you're going to need technical help to get it off the ground. But working with Spree means you need to have a staff that's experienced with Ruby on Rails and Spree itself. Second question is, do I want to maintain infrastructure? Even though Spree is free, AWS, Azure, Heroku can get costly as you scale. So you need to plan and think about how much resource you will need. And third is, do I need a custom experience? Am I building a marketplace? If you need that custom checkout and user experience, then it makes sense to pick a solution that will be ready to do that for you. So, in conclusion, building an e-com store is more than just the store itself. You need to build a brand, and that's the way you get people to come to your store. Building an e-com store is more complicated than a typical online store for eyewear. As I stated before, there's inventory issues, there's compliance stuff, there's customer experience. And then tons of billion-dollar companies were built on Spree, so that's always a plus. So you know it works. Spree is open source and allows you to mold everything to fit your needs. So, like I said, it's an open source platform. If you don't like certain things or you want to change something, you feel free to grab that and do whatever you want with it. Thanks for listening today. If you would like to chat, please feel to reach out. My email is hoots@shopfelixgray, or you can find me on Twitter at Houtan Fanisalek.
Thank you so much. And now for the questions. If you have any questions for Houtan, please do feel free to use that sidebar, that right-hand column that you can collapse or expand and ask questions.
Sure. Any questions, anyone?
So which season of Sopranos should we watch?
Season 4.
All right, season 4. I'm gonna just binge watch it afterwards. So we have a question from Bart. So does the eyewear business has seasonal effects in the load, in the traffic loads or the volume?
Yeah, I mean, every e-com business has seasonal effects. Q4 is always going to be the biggest, at least in the US, because of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and Christmas sales. So you'll see that in almost any e-com business.
Yeah, and you will find a really interesting interview with Houtan on the Spree blog, so feel free to check it out. We've met with Houtan, I think, last year or 2 years ago in New York, and we've had a nice conversation there. So you can read through this on the Spree blog. Any international shipping plans? Damian is asking for some extra glasses for himself.
No international shipping plans right now, but in the future we may be expanding, depending on what happens. I'll go in the order. What is your ERP? What is the approach to supply chain? So our ERP, we actually have our own custom ERP setup. Once again, I said, like, there's a lot of different things to factor in, and things like NetSuite and all the other stuff just were either way too expensive, or they didn't do what we needed to do, or required like 8 to 9 months of customization. So we've built a pretty robust thing ourselves, and so far it's been working pretty well. What about Spree versus Solidus? Ooh, that's an interesting question. So Spree and Solidus, they're very similar. I actually grab a lot of some stuff from Solidus and I bring it to Spree, and I think people from Spree or Solidus do the same thing, vice versa. It's really hard to say which one. There's really no like one's better than the other. It's more of like there's 2 different branches of the same software. And if you need a feature from one, you can grab it from there. And Spree has a bunch of features that Solidus doesn't. So it's really what makes sense for you. I know a bunch of brands on Spree, and I know a bunch of brands on Solidus. For the inventory system for various parts of a customized eyewear, did you have to modify too much in the stock management built in Spree? In a few words, what did you do? Assuming you had to use multiple storage zones, Spree warehouse. Yeah, we actually, we pretty much, I wouldn't say rewrote, but redid a lot of the inventory management side of things. We moved a bunch of stuff into background workers. For example, back order processing. We moved into our own little background processing, back order processing into a background processing job, so it doesn't like takes too much time to do. We've moved and cached a bunch of different things that we know affected like too much load on selecting inventory. There's a bunch of like small things and big things that we did for the inventory management side. So it took at least, I think, 3 months to figure out all the different scenarios that we needed. And then you have to use multiple storage zones for multiple parts of the eyewear. Yeah, we have 2 different facilities. So we did put in logic for different facilities. So if you are shipping from one area versus another, we have the logic to figure out which one to select. Is actually Spree as native using PostgreSDB? Let's download less. You have no problem to integrate with. Of course, default was SQLite. Yeah, you can use any database you kind of want. I use MySQL Aurora from Amazon. Postgres was a little too much for me. How do you make sure Spree can handle the increase in Q4? Any recommendations? Yeah. We on AWS, we set everything up. We cache as much as we can. So everything, anything that needs to be dynamic is left dynamic, but things that don't need to be dynamic, like product pages and data that you need to get, I would keep all that in Elasticache and load from Elasticache, whatever you can. And then set up auto scaling for your servers. So typically we have about 4 to 6 servers running at a time. During Q4, that scales up to anywhere between 10 and 20. So just to make sure everything is cached on your front end, and have auto scaling set up to look for those traffic spikes and make sure you can accommodate for that. How do you manage compliance? And yes, we did use AWS. Well, AWS doesn't handle your HIPAA compliance issues. It has the tools to be HIPAA compliant. So you should talk with your account manager and sign the BAA, and then just make sure you follow all the guidelines that they provide. Like your database needs to be encrypted. The connection to the database needs to be encrypted. Everything pretty much needs to be encrypted. Your servers need to be on a private network. You need to be logging all your traffic. You need to be making sure everything is up to date. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.